Alright, today we are going to be replacing the top on a Miata. This is my car, and I just replaced the top on it recently. It's pretty fresh. Race car. And this is what we're working on today. This 93. And as you can see, the top is pretty rough. It's all cracked and what was a headliner. And that window is just terrible. But it'll look good in a couple hours. Yeah, look at that shit. All right, let's get started. This really isn't too bad of a job, but it's a little time consuming. Really the only tools you need are a rivet tool, screwdriver. I use this stuff. It's just weatherstrip sealant. Some clamps come in handy. And of course you might need to get, some cleaner and some rags for whenever you remove some of the old stuff. You never know how dirty it's going to be. And it always helps to have a socket set. Alright, so the first step is these cars are supposed to have the plastic fasteners, these things that hold the carpet in place on the back. As you can see, this car just has the carpet chilling back here. But you want to just remove this whole piece of carpet from the car. So that it will look like this. And then you can access these bolts. You need to remove each one of these. They're 10 millimeter. So just get you a 10 millimeter socket. And just remove each one. And there are 13 of these to remove. And once you get those loose, they should just pop right off. And once those are off, the rain rail should come right off the car, as so. And then you have this. And now with the top down, the next step is to remove the seat belts. I'm just using a 5/8 socket for that. And the goal is to get this whole piece out. Once you get that removed, you want to remove this and this. They're both 10 millimeter. Pretty easy. More than likely on your car, you'll have to remove your base plate. It's 4 screws. And then that'll free up this black piece down here, the weather stripping. And then you can remove it. And once you get the screw out of there, there's this Phillips that you need to remove. to get this black piece off. Now that that's off, this little rubber piece has some plastic snaps. Once you pop them out, you can remove that. And this little black metal piece, if you look there, there's that little plastic fastener that holds it in. Once you pull that out, you can remove this. And that allows you to get the rain rail completely detached from the car. Alright, now that that's loose, you can get the seat belt through here and then just remove this whole plastic piece. Bam! Just like yeah, drift tires. Then you can do the same for this side. Just pull that out. Comes out pretty easy. Then you got your seatbelt mechanism. And we're getting there. Alright. The next step to do this, to make this job a lot simpler, is to remove the entire frame and top from the car. Now to do that, it's only 6 bolts, 3 per side. If you look right here, 1, 2, 3, and it's the same on the other side. You just take those out. I believe they are 12 millimeter, but you take those out and the frame will come right off. Alright, so those bolts are removed. They're just, you know, little bolts, nothing major. Got them out. Alright. And now the frame is completely loose and you can remove it from the car. And it can be a little heavy, so make sure you have somebody to help lift it out of the car. Unless you feel like Superman, like myself. And here's the old hunk of junk. The rain rail. I don't even think this rain rail was attached, honestly, because it just came right off. But it's much easier to take the frame completely out of the car. And this is the point when, if your car looks like this, you might want to clean it just a little bit. Yeah. Alright. Cleaned up in here a little bit. It's not as bad as it was. Alright. Now it's time to get this old top off of the frame. Now what I've done is opened up the top on the floor. And the first thing that you really want to do is remove all the weather stripping. And it's pretty easy to pull out. It just sits in these metal grooves. And once you get the weather stripping out, you're going to want to take each one of these screws out to remove the metal weather strip holders. Alright, once you have those off, the next step, that should be loose. You see a couple rivets that we'll have to deal with here in a bit. The next step is to take off that screw right there. Now, as I showed you, these rivets behind here, you can tell this top was not installed correctly because those rivets are supposed to be going through these holes that are pre-drilled through this plastic. But they're just chilling there doing nothing. Now once you take that screw off, there's a rivet right there that needs to be removed. And removing the rivets is really easy if you have a drill. You just drill them out. Alright, I managed to remove those rivets, and once you remove the one back here, this little metal piece will come out. Just set that aside, you'll need it later, and then you can just remove that. Now, if you come around to the back side here, you'll see these two rivets that need to come out. Now, with those out, this whole corner will come off, and then you just repeat the process for the other side. Alright, so I got the other side done. Now, the next thing you're going to want to do is this screw right here. It holds on the tension cable, and there's one just like it on the other side. You're going to want to take that screw out. Now once you remove this, you need to remove the spring from the tension cable, and the easiest way to do that is to get some small needle nose pliers and just bend this just enough to where you can get that off. And once you got the spring off of the cable, you're going to want to pull the cable back through the top. Now, as you can see, it comes out right about there, and it rides along the inside of this and pulls through. There's a hole right here, and it comes out there. And it should thread through another hole in the top itself. And then that's it. Ready for the next step. Alright, got the top open back up. And the next step is along the front of the top. You got these screws that hold this little plate on. And you need to remove those. Then, once you remove those screws, that whole piece comes right off. And then the top will be loose from the front. It's going to have some adhesive under here, so you have to pull on it a little bit to get that loose. And we almost got this thing off. Alright, so I went ahead and removed the quote headliner from this top. And as you can see, since we removed these screws here, it is completely loose from the frame there. The only thing left to do is to come back here and your old top might be a little different. It probably will be. But you got to remove these little flaps. Alright, and once you get these flaps off, these flaps, even on the new top that I'm about to put on, they'll have a little hard plastic strip. And let's see if I can show you. They slide right into these grooves along the frame, and that holds it on there. But now that I got these off, the frame is completely free from the old top. Alright, got the new top laid out, ready to attach to the frame, and then put back in here. First thing you want to do, of course, is to open the frame up and place it on top of the new top. Get it positioned so that everything just lines up, and you can go from there. These tops are pretty cool because they have a pull string that allows you to tie one end to the tension cable and pull it through the top. I understand some tops don't have those, so you actually have to thread the cables through the top by hand, but this saves a little time. And once you get those tied in, you can begin feeding the tension cable through. And there you go. Now once you get this threaded through, if you look on the frame right here, you'll see a little hole. I don't know how well you can see it in the video, but the tension cable goes into that hole like so. Go ahead and pull that through. Okay. And then it just follows up here. And that's where the spring screws in. And that's how that works. Now, once you have the string taken off of the tension cord, you can go ahead and then take the spring that you took off earlier and go ahead and hook that back through. Then take your needle noses and just squeeze that back closed so that the spring won't come off. And then once you do that, you're ready to mount the spring back on with the screw you took off of it earlier. Now with these tension cables, it's the same as removing. It's a lot easier if you partially fold or completely fold the top That gives you a lot more slack on the cable to put the screw back in, and you just get it threaded. And then you're good. That is secured. And then it's the same for the other side. All right, I went ahead and did the other side as well. Got the tension springs mounted. Now before you go any further, these little end pieces, they are naked. Gotta fix that. Luckily, my new top comes with a little goodie bag. And in that goodie bag is another goodie bag. And it's got more than enough rivets, some that you won't even use, like that big one right there. Because this is a kit that's for the NAs and the NBs. And it comes with these. These aren't required, but I used them on mine, and I'm going to use them on this one just for extra protection. It also comes with these little squishy things. You don't need those. And then an instruction book. I don't need that either. But in this little goodie bag here, you get these little plastic rubbery end caps, and those are your protection for those naked things. And they just go on there. You got to use protection. Always use protection. And once you got your little protectors put on, then you can go ahead lay your frame out flat. And now, got to mount these. Alright, and after a little bit of pulling and stretching, you get this over the little corner piece here. Nothing's attached yet, but I got it on here lined up. And the next step is to get the screws and rivets. Alright, I got those two rivets in. And now the next step is this flap. You'll see two holes for rivets. And one goes right here. And the other goes right there. Alright, so I got those in. And now the next step is this little corner where we took out this piece. It has to go back in there like so. Screw through the middle and a rivet through the back. Got that screw in place. Got it riveted on the back side. Now we're ready to start putting the weather stripping pieces back on. And the next step is to put the front plate back on. Get that screwed in place. But you want to use weather strip adhesive all along the edges, especially on the corners. And this is what I'm using. And I got some clamps to hold it in place while it dries. And you can use as much as you want for the middle part. Alright, the adhesive has dried, and I got this first weather strip piece put back on. Same for this side. It goes on with 2 screws. And now I'm working on attaching the fabric to the bows. Now this rear bow strip, just like the top that came off, has a little plastic strip on here that you have to fold under and get in the groove that's on the metal bar. You'll feel it with your finger, and you have to kind of roll it up under there to get it locked in. Bolts back in, the 6 that hold the frame on. Alright, got those bolts put in. I left them a little bit loose so that I can get everything else installed before I tighten everything down. The next step is to get these attached onto these. Alright, got all the bolts in. I left them a little loose so that I can get the top latched first, and then now I'm going to go back and tighten everything back here down. But the top is on. It is latched. It's got to be left out in the sun for a couple days to completely stretch. I got the latches all the way loose. As you can see on the latches, in case you don't know, there's a little nut that you can twist to extend and shorten the latches. And I have them extended all the way. Makes it a little easier to latch this fresh top. But there it is. All I got to do now is just, put the carpeting back in and tighten everything down. And it's done. Alright, got the top completely done. Got the window cleaned up. It is tight, still got a stretch. But yeah, not too bad. All right. Job well done. Thanks for watching.